heart out.
Hi, I'm Kayla Ogden.
And I'm Rachel Sear.
And this is Write Your Heart Out.
Woo-hoo.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
This is the last episode of the year.
Wow. And that's crazy. So we did like 23 episodes this year.
Yeah, and we started in June, right?
Wow. I'm proud of us.
I am too.
I was so nervous when I first asked Rachel to do a podcast with me. I had done a podcast before called Better for the Boy, which I'm thinking about sparking up again, actually. We were at some kind of a party or something. Or no, I just came to your house. And I remember before I left my house, I grabbed my Lucky underwear.
Oh.
Which are these, split pea soup.
Yeah.
They're weirdly...
I don't know where this is going.
They're weird. Ew. So they're these like lacy underwear. They don't cover your whole bum. They're kind of like a triangle on your bum.
Oh, sure. Like, those are cute.
Yeah. And then the sides are like a string kind of. But weirdly, they're the color of split pea soup.
Weird. Very weird.
I don't know where I got these or whatever, but I've had them for 15 years or 20 years. I don't wear them anymore, by the way.
So you weren't wearing them when we were talking?
No.
You just had
They
them
were in my back pocket.
This is so funny. Okay.
I stopped wearing them like 20 years ago when I realized that they were Lucky.
Yeah, you don't want to mess them up. I mean,
No.
like, you don't want to...
I preserve.
Yeah. Lots of things happen in underwear,
Yeah. I don't think I wore these ones very much because the color is kind of like off-putting.
Split pea soup. It's a muddy chartreuse.
I don't think it would be great for my skin tone.
Sure, I can see that.
So anyways, I put those in my back pocket. That's the lore of Write Your Heart Out. And then I went and I sort of was like, hey, do you want to do a podcast? And I didn't know what Rachel would say, but then she was just immediately down.
Yep, I was.
She's just like, yeah. It's like, I've been friends with Rachel for years, but I had zero clue that you were interested in writing.
Right.
I don't think I even knew that you were going to school for it and that you like had a novel that you had been working on. You kept that did you keep it so secret from everyone?
I mean, it wasn't a secret. I just didn't feel like that was a talking point for me. I don't know. Like,
I just wasn't interesting. It was just like a little fun thing that you did sometimes in private in the
and then,
early
like, as
morning
we've talked
hours.
about many episodes, I really didn't consider myself a writer by any means.
Having a hobby that you're kind of doing and you don't know where it's going and you don't have any plans and goals for like the way that you spend that time. That's very Buddhist of you.
Oh, yes,
like that's very.
You know me. Rub my belly. I'm a Buddha.
I'm a Buddha.
I'm a Buddha.
Starting this podcast and spending so much time in your closet with you has definitely been a highlight of 2025 for me.
I'm glad that you sitting amongst my most elegant of gowns.
Yes. Amy.
You have become a fixture in my closet.
I know, right? Last episode, we were talking about Louis C.K.
Oh, fucking Louis.
Yeah, so then I got a newsletter from him yesterday, and it was like, he's like, this is my New York Times best-selling novel.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, I'm very proud of it. A lot of people seem to like it. So this is just me saying you can still buy it in time for Christmas for a friend or family member. And I was like, a lot of people like that. I'm just like, oh, that's interesting that he says that because it got such bad reviews. But then I went on Amazon, and it has a 4.7 stars on Amazon. Good. Really good for a book. Yeah. It has 421 reviews on here. And the first one says a profoundly moving and unforgettable story. Next one, more than a great story. Pretty darn good. Dark, funny, and lovely. Ingram's story is haunting and beautiful. So people are obsessed.
Yeah, but are those bots?
Are those bots?
I don't know. I don't really trust reviews anymore, I gotta say.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, Louis, I don't know. You weren't my cup of tea. I didn't finish reading the book. I did my homework as much as I could, and that was where I ended.
But I mean, books don't have to be good in all aspects to be loved. Like,
sure.
Colleen Hoover is a huge example of that, right? People fucking love her books so much. So you can definitely defy what traditionally is considered good writing and have people really enjoy it. And then maybe that's the whole point. So, hey.
I just feel like if someone gave me this book for Christmas, I'd be like, why?
Yes, I don't know if you should buy it for people for Christmas because
not a
it's a bit
gifty book.
weird.
Yeah.
Also, just giving someone a book by somebody who was canceled for sexual harassment is also a bit weird.
It's a swing.
It's a choice.
It's a choice. I wish him the best.
Yeah. All
I'm
right.
glad that Louis is happy with his work.
Yeah. I don't know. He's whatever. So I just had to mention that. And so I received in my email, it was actually in, I think, a Substack email where they were just recommending different articles. I wasn't subscribed to Rebecca Makkai's Substack, which is called Submakk, Makk. But now I'm subscribed to the free version, and I think I'm going to upgrade to the paid version because we're talking all about this. I actually think that I should have reached out to Rebecca and been like, do you want to be on the pod and talk about this? And
That's
maybe
a really wonderful idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But instead, I just want to promote her Substack, which is Submakk. It is so good. This woman, it says she's the author of novels and stories, including I Have Some Questions for You, which was published in 2023, and The Great Believers, which was a Pulitzer finalist.
Oh, wow.
So this is an expert, right, in writing. And like I could ask ChatGPT questions about how to write, but ChatGPT is never going to have these kinds of amazing opinions.
Sure. And from a point of view of someone that you might respect.
Yeah.
You know, ChatGPT is pulling from everywhere, you know, and like, so you're getting a lot of scum along with some, maybe a few pearls, but you're also getting some scum. You know?
Yeah, I feel like ChatGPT is kind of looking at like what is the most and the popular, and like if you were to say, give me tips on writing fiction, it would just find like the things that everybody's saying. Right?
Exactly.
Whereas like this person, to me, this article on writing craft is called You're Writing a Book, so Stop Writing a Movie. What film teaches us wrong about writing fiction, which I think is just a very, very unique subject to talk about. And the things that she says are so unique and interesting. Like I haven't heard this kind of advice before, and it's spot on and it's super modern and like up to the minute.
Sure.
Which also you don't get from large language models.
Totally.
And I think it's also really for us because we've been looking at Save the Cat.
Totally.
And Save the Cat was originally like a template for writing screenplays.
Right.
But we've been applying it to writing novels.
Right.
And there is another Save the Cat book about using it for novel writing. Yes. But I don't know that she changes it all that much. We've even watched movies and been like, oh, are they following Save the Cat? And we've looked at our books and been like, oh, does our writing follow it? And like, how do we make our books flow like this? And now here she is saying, don't write your book like a movie. And here's why. And I thought that it was a really good wake-up call for me to show what is the difference between writing a screenplay, writing for film, and writing for books.
Totally. I thought it was really interesting. When you first sent it to me, I was like, oh, shit. Because like there's been multiple times where we've talked about Dinner for Eight, and you're like, it plays like a movie, you know? And I find that as a positive thing.
Yeah.
And even after reading this article, I was like, I still feel like I don't think I do these things.
Yeah.
But I can see how easy it is to fall into all of these things that she talks about.
Totally. So she has a number of points that she goes through. She says, here are 12 things that film teaches us wrong and 4 things that it teaches us right about writing fiction and narrative nonfiction. And the first one is, says, the most important thing is the eyes.
Yeah.
So what did you think about this?
So she's saying that authors currently are really putting too much focus on like the sparkle in her eye glistened in the moonlight, and like that those things, while they're important on film because they can capture so much of a scene, aren't something that you need in a novel. And her example of Jane Austen, she doesn't spend time talking about the glisten in someone's eye. I feel like talking about eyes is fine. I'm not going to fully agree with her on here. However, I can see what she's saying.
Yeah, she's kind of saying that like in film we have really intense close-ups of people's facial expressions, and the eyes are have to express so much about what they're thinking and feeling, the actor, because you don't get to see in their thoughts unless there's a voiceover, which is actually really looked down upon
Sure.
in film.
Right.
But with us, we're often talking about what our characters are thinking and feeling. So we don't necessarily have to say like she cast her eyes down to the side, her eyes flicked between the two women, to show what people are thinking and feeling. Right. And she's saying that like in real life, it's not really like that. Like it's not like the first thing you notice about somebody is all the striations of colors in their eyes.
No,
and when you're talking to somebody, you're not cognizant of every place that their eyes are darting and looking in the room.
Right.
But in books, it's like the characters are so focused on the eyes because that's what we're focused on when we're watching movies.
Right. There's one moment in this article where she's talking about people don't notice where other people's line of sight is going.
Yeah.
And she even says, and if you do, that's creepy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I actually really do. I definitely, if I'm talking to somebody and their eyes are going to the other way, I absolutely notice and I absolutely will look. Or like if I see someone across a train staring across to the other side, I'm absolutely going to look at what they're looking at.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe that's just a difference in how me and this woman function in our realities. Because to me, that's very important.
I don't know where from, but at some point I learned, say you're in a group of people and a person tells a joke, they will look at the person that they think is the most funny.
Oh, absolutely.
To see what that person reacts to.
Sure.
Do you think that's true?
Yeah, absolutely. Or the person that you think that is going to get your joke the most, right? Like, I think that you would look at the person who you think is going to get
you want it to land.
Yes.
Who the joke is for or who you're delivering it to.
Which I think says a lot. Like if I'm thinking about Dinner for Eight, I can't think of a scene where this is exactly happening except for maybe at the dinner table when they're having dinner. But I think that it would be extremely important where if one of the characters made a joke and they look at
everyone looks at someone else.
Right. I mean, like that would be a very telling moment in the scene.
Right.
But maybe because I do think of Dinner for Eight as a more cinematic I don't know. Let's keep going.
So number 2 is scenes of people going about their daily lives with no real change are engaging and fun. She mentions like there's scenes in The Devil Wears Prada where all these different women around New York are getting dressed, or on Office Space when they show like a normal bad traffic day, when all the guys are driving to work at the beginning of the movie. On the screen, she says like this can take like 1 minute for these like cut scenes to just kind of orient you into where you are, and they're funny and they're engaging because we've got close-ups of people's faces, we've got music, we've got cuts, we've got like colors and beautiful people and all this stuff, right? If you're going to write that, it's going to take the person 6 minutes to read all that, and it's not going to be fun to read.
Sure.
It says there's no reason to show all that shit to the reader, is what she's saying.
And I agree with that. I mean, I definitely wouldn't want to read pages of people driving to work.
Yeah.
Right?
The number 3, I think, is really interesting. She says, you're not allowed to tell us what's going on. And she's talking about exposition, which I have a hard time with because I was told by all those old white men that I have to show and not tell, and that everything should happen in scene.
Right.
And so I have a really weird time like sitting there and writing a paragraph where it was like, spring turned to autumn and Rachel made her way through her classes at CSM with flourish and got accolades and made many new friends. But then as winter started to come, she had been getting calls from this person, and then he showed up at her door, whatever, right? So there's like, 4 sentences of just exposition where you're leading from one place to the other. I've just felt like that's boring. You just have to cut that out and just get right into the scene, and then the reader will like catch up with you.
Yeah, they'll reorient.
She's saying the difference between film and writing a book is you can just tell people stuff.
Sure.
That can be part of the beauty of the writing or the style or the voice or whatever, but that it happens all the time in books.
Sure.
So what do you think about that? Do you have a lot of like exposition where you're not really like in a scene, you're just kind of like talking about what's going on in the world and people's lives and kind of explaining who people are and how they relate to each other?
I don't feel like I have a lot of that in my book, honestly.
No.
Because it all happens in one night, it's not really necessary as much, I don't
Mm-hmm.
think. I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's kind of what I'm adding right now in the second draft is like more of the explaining the characters'
Mm-hmm.
relationships to each other
Yeah.
because that was missing for
Yeah.
sure. So I think that that's actually that's it. I'm working on that in my second draft.
So a lot of these things, like she's saying in this article, she's saying modern writers quite often learn from film how to tell a story, and then they tell a story that way in books, but it might not necessarily be the best way to tell it, or you just have different and more tools at your disposal that you can use. Like, don't
Right.
be afraid of telling if it's appropriate for your book. Um, there was this book that we read, I think, for book club. It was called like For Women, I think. It was a bestseller recently. Do you remember that?
For women? No, I don't remember that. But I've been really bad at reading our book group books the past few months.
Yeah, me too.
So,
Oh no, it's not called
sorry.
For Women. Anyways, it was like called like the Blue Sisters or the Blue Women. Or, oh yeah, Blue Sisters. Okay. So it's called The Blue Sisters by Coco Malors.
Okay.
I don't remember if everybody liked it. And I actually heard an interview with this author. Like, I think she's great and she's a great writer, and this story is much loved, but it's a lot of it's kind of almost all exposition. It's like you're reading for pages and pages, the narrator kind of describing this family and how how the characters, it's very character driven, right? Like it's all about these sisters. And I don't know, I don't fuck with that as much as more like scenes and people talking and
Yeah,
things
I want
moving.
more meat.
Yeah, I want more. Yeah. I want it. You can show anything you can tell, like in exposition, you can also just show.
Sure. So that really leads us right into number 4, where it's you're not allowed to tell us what people are thinking.
Oh, yeah.
And she's saying in books, you do get to tell people you do get to say what people are thinking because you don't have the benefit of the close up of the face, of the music, of the emotion being shown to you. So while you of course can show don't tell, you also get to tell. And I do think that that is an important tool, but I agree with you. Overusing it feels boring.
Yeah.
I do like show.
A lot of people talk about interiority, which shows here that she has an entire series that she wrote on interiority, which I would love to read. And maybe we could ask her to come on and talk about that.
That's a good idea.
Because that's something that it's hard to distinguish the difference between show, don't tell and just like interiority. So she's saying that if she was editing a book where the student writes, he displayed rage or she acted embarrassed, that she would write, can you show this, please?
Right.
But that's different from their interiority. So if it's talking about his rage, his interiority would be, I think, the way his body feels and then also the thoughts that are going through his head. Like he wouldn't be thinking, I feel rage. Like he would be thinking enraged thoughts, right? And that would be his interiority.
Yeah, right.
And same with like she acted embarrassed. She might, if you're embarrassed, you might think, oh my God, this is so embarrassing.
But like she would be feeling the heat in her cheeks.
Yeah, and this kind of thing, how she's feeling in her body.
Yeah.
How she thinks she's being perceived, like that kind of thing, right?
Sure.
I think that's more interiority, and just saying she was embarrassed is like telling.
Yes.
So number 5. It's easy to acclimate people quickly to complicated, unfamiliar settings. I don't know. Setting is... She uses Tolkien as an example of this, of how, like, in a movie, you can just quickly show, like, the elves...
Right.
The elvish woods world. But in a book, like, you really need to, like, tell people all about that and describe that. And she's saying she thinks setting is one of our most underutilized tools.
Sure.
For me, reading Tolkien, I remember reading The Hobbit, and it was just pages of the verdant rolling hills and the emerald leaves and the this and the that, and like obviously the Hobbit's Shire is iconic.
Of course.
It will be in our hearts forever. And so thank God Tolkien wrote that. But like I don't really like reading descriptions of like a city, you know, like all the ins and outs and of a setting isn't, you know, for pages and pages the way that Tolkien does.
Right.
That doesn't really grip me.
Isn't that
doesn't
what Stephen King says too? Like the same, like I don't care about what people are wearing. Like
yeah,
I
with
feel
wearing,
like
he doesn't care about that. Yeah,
right. But I feel like it kind of. I don't. I mean, I haven't read. I actually haven't read very much Stephen King at all. So, but does he spend a lot of time describing the town of Derry? Like I think you just kind of know it's a small town, and
yeah, I think yeah.
And
I don't know how much he does with setting. I know he doesn't like reading descriptions of like clothing.
Right.
But yeah, a similar vibe for me with the setting.
Yeah.
How about you? I know that the house that they live in Dinner for Eight, you talk about her feelings about her space and like the stairwells and how they're different. And do you have like exposition where you just describe the house and the neighborhood and the town and stuff?
No, the neighborhood and town matter not. They don't matter at all. The things that matter are like they have a really long gravel driveway. Like that does matter. That comes into play. Or like the fact that they, you know, she has a marble staircase and then in the back different type of staircase. Like those things matter. So they only matter if they come into play. So like the layout of the house,
part of the plot, then you describe
the layout absolutely does matter, but only in the rooms that like I'm not spending time describing this house.
Like her children's rooms and things that are, or like when it was built and how when they
I think I do say when it's built, but just so that you get the idea that it's like an older, gigantic, stupid fucking house. You know, like
that's cool. It's a cool setting.
It is a cool setting, and
but I think you also describe like as you go along.
Yes.
From what I read, and I read a little bit, was like you'll describe things that place they give the reader a sense of place, like the pictures that are on the walls and the like you do get a sense of the house that they're in.
But as I'm doing that, I am also very much putting in the tone of the opulence of their house, like that they are wealthy and that they, and that, how many kids they have from the picture, like you're getting other things through the setting. You're not, so it's not, I would never just describe the house. That sounds stupid.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And then, right. So this one is interesting too. Number 6 is, or settings are neutral backdrops.
Right. This is a very movie-verse book.
Yes.
Her example of she's using the Men in Black example of Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones sitting on a bench. And there's no just sitting on a bench in a book. Like, if you're not going to describe the park and why they're in the park, there is no just sitting on a bench in a park in a good book.
So literally I have a scene where they sit on a bench in a park.
But why are they in the park?
Somebody shows up at somebody's apartment. So let's just make up other characters. Harrison shows up at Brielle's apartment, right? And they haven't seen each other in many years and they're adults and he wants to have a conversation with her. And so how would that look? You haven't seen this person in 20 years and they just show up at your place. Like you're not really going to invite your woman. You're not really going to say, come on in my house. No,
of course not.
Right?
Yeah,
so he says, well, why don't we go for a walk? And there's a park nearby. So, and she's wearing high heels because she wants to impress him. And then so they decide to sit on this bench. And then I talk about or I just describe that there's like a running path going around.
Okay.
And then I described that like there's people kind of in the center with their dogs, letting their dogs play around.
So then that's not neutral.
And yeah, sometimes the people with their dogs, like the people who are having the reveal kind of make a commotion. And so all the people with their dogs, she notices they're all staring at them. Yeah. Or like the person who runs by on the track, like kind of looks back over their shoulder at them and like that kind of thing. So the setting is kind of like moving in a way that if it were in a movie, it would be more expensive than just sitting like 2 actors on a bench. Like you would have to hire all these dogs and all these people, like all these actors and stuff like that. So what she's saying is like, it's cheap to film a conversation on a park bench.
Right.
So they do it a lot in movies. But she's saying, why don't you make the setting more interesting? Like, pick one that puts pressure on the characters or one that presents opportunities for dynamic interaction.
So that's what
cool.
you're doing in your book. The pressure from their characters, whether they have a name or not, right? The people with the dogs and looking at them and running by, and like there's a scene, like they're causing a scene, so people are noticing.
Yeah,
those people become characters because I feel like what
That's
you
not
just
what she's
described
saying.
is not what she's saying.
Yeah.
Because in this scene in Men in Black, I've seen that movie quite a few times. It's been a long time, but I've seen it. I don't know that scene. That's not that wasn't memorable. It was literally just a bench somewhere.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, expand your mind past, like, you don't have these limitations that they have in film. And I like the idea that, okay, so I have these two characters. They're walking from the apartment. They're going on a walk so he can tell her these big reveals or whatever. It's like, they could easily end up walking through, like, it's like, oh, it's a farmer's market there that day.
Right.
And now there's these little kids under their heels, and oh, there's a performance here and we have to get away from that. And like, there's just like more happening in the scene that's like putting some that's just like an example, right?
Right. Well, something like that, in a scene like that, I imagine that you would be learning something about the characters throughout that scene.
Yeah.
Right. Whether or not that's a pivotal information that you're receiving. Like, you might find out that the person's allergic to tomatoes, and that would come out later.
Yeah.
You know, like, I feel like those kinds of things in a scene like that would have to tie in. And that's using
like, don't just throw them in the middle of a parade because you think that it's going to be more lush.
Right.
Like, it should also, there should be reasons for it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, so number 7 is it's always best to throw people into a story with no context whatsoever, which is something you are allowed to do in a movie.
Yeah.
Because characters have to just show up. They don't get an introduction.
No.
But you can write that into a book. And I think that one's important. You know?
I don't do that at all in my book.
Just throw in a character.
I never say, the start of my book is like, as soon as the door opened to Grandma's house, Lonnie ran straight in, and she took off her shoes and runs down the hall and does. Through the dialogue, it exposes that or it says like she hadn't been here all week. So then you get the idea that, you know, she goes there a lot. But I don't have this whole thing that's like, Lonnie goes every this because her mother works at a salon.
But this is the prologue.
She's busy and she's but it's the same thing in every single chapter. I'm just write scenes.
Right.
I don't give people a bunch of context. I never do. Maybe that's bad. I'll see what the editor says. What about you?
I'm interested. I think that you are orienting them more than you think you are, though. Because, I mean, there's no way to just be like, you're not going to start about, like, this book is about Carolyn. She is a mom of 3. You know, like, you are jumping in as a character. And then through the dialogue, you're orienting them to their space. She's at Grandma's house.
And
she's
their
doing
thoughts.
Yeah. So I think that that's what she's saying is like.
I give context clues rather than like exposition.
Right.
Number 8 says, once you're in a scene, you're locked in beat per beat. The example she uses is in a movie, they can't
leap forward in time is what
she's talking about. How people from other countries think that Americans are weird, like that we don't say goodbye on the phone because they watch American movies, and in American movies and TV it's just like, oh yeah, I'll be there, and then they just always hang up the phone.
Right.
Because doing the whole conversation, it's like, well, what time? Like, oh, is it the one on Delaware or the one on El Camino?
Right.
Are you sure? Like, you know, like that's just boring.
Sure.
But she's saying like that she's read students' work where they literally like show the book starts with the person wakes up, and then it shows them doing every single thing in their life. And like if it's going from scene to scene, it has to show them driving in the car, and then
Sure.
you know, it has to show them this or there or the other. But you can like jump around in fiction and you can do what you want.
Yes, which I definitely agree with.
Yeah. And then number 9.
It's fun to make people think they're seeing one thing and then zoom out like, haha, you fool, it was something else. So she's saying that in a movie, people hate it.
It's called visual reveal shots, where it's the example she gives is really great. It's like you show somebody giving an apology and saying, I'm so sorry for the way I stole your husband right from out from under you. I know we were best friends. And then, but I hope you'll forgive me and that you'll still love me. But then it zooms out and it shows that they're just talking in the mirror and like practicing.
Right.
I
I think sometimes those are pretty funny, I gotta say.
I like those. And she's like, I do love a surprise narrative shift.
I mean, that I just feel like that wouldn't happen in a book.
She's saying that say the point of view character is interacting with someone throughout the whole book, and they both know that they're mother and daughter,
right?
But you don't reveal it until the end, and
right.
that's supposed to make the reader go, "Oh my god!" But
right.
it's just annoying if they both knew.
Agreed.
Like you have to be a surprise along with someone.
I agreed.
Yeah, that's okay. So number 10, everyone can hear the music in your head.
This one I had a hard time with because I absolutely have like a soundtrack in my head about Dinner for Eight.
And do you put the songs in the book?
No, I don't. So I understand what she's saying because she's saying like you can't use Let It Be and quote them in the book. Like unless, like you can, I guess, but it'll be expensive. But I don't know. Something about reading this one struck me funny because I just had like songs going through my head as I was writing it.
I mean, me too. Because my book is set partially in 2009, I'm dropping in like emo bands from the time. Like some people are dressed kind of emo, and this one guy listens to like Taking Back Sunday and Dashboard Confessional in his car, and it's a bit of like a slice of that time. And I do put the lyrics in there, but if an editor at Penguin Random House one day tells me to cut it for money, hey, I'll do it for you, baby. But yeah, she's just saying that you don't need to do all that, I guess. But it's funny because like we have a book group, right? Where like this group of readers, we always talk about things. And like our friend Angie, for example, she is always talking about the music that they talk about in the books, and she'll go and listen to it. She'll make soundtracks of it. And she absolutely loves that part of the book.
I feel like in your context of like emo person, I feel like that is orienting yourself to the character. Like, I kind of feel like that's important. I don't think I fully am into this point. Number 10, I'm not 100% into.
Yeah, we don't know about that one. So number 11 is a story is always made entirely of scenes with very little summary. We've talked about that this whole time, right? Yeah. She's just saying that there's different ways of doing things. Like that the modern way of doing things is we just do scene, scene, scene. But that we should know that there's other traditions that use more summary and more meandering exposition.
Yeah.
Number 12.
Memories are full transportations back in time that you need to be startled out of.
Okay, this was a huge eye opener for me.
Really? Okay, tell me. I mean, I don't feel like it was. I really went back to scenes where I'm like, did I do that? Was she startled out of certain things? And I don't feel like Sam in Dinner for Eight was startled out of any memories, but she's very much in memories.
She has memories.
Yes.
And it's her remembering. You don't just be like, here's the next chapter and it's set in this time. And
there's a few different,
I know that.
Yeah, there's a few chapters that toggle, but like there's a scene at the dinner table where this guy says something and like she remembers a moment where that it's contradicting what he's saying, and she's like, and it makes her whole body like feel something different. Like
he's lying.
Yeah, because he's lying, but it like it's kind of hot. This memory, I don't feel like it shocks her. There's nobody like then next to her goes, "Can you pass the salt?" And then she's startled out of her. No, it just like is a point that tells you more about how their relationship used to be and why it's so different.
Yeah.
But okay, so tell me why you had this big feeling.
Okay, so this is. It's so interesting when you learn these things, like when people talk about tropes or things that are cringy, and then you realize that they're in your work and you didn't realize that you were doing this thing that's been done over and over and over again, and that's why you did it. Like that happened once with Adara. Our friend, she was saying like she hates a found letter. Like she hates it when somebody finds a letter and then it reveals like every secret of the family or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, I was going to make my character find a letter And then I just like was like, no, instead of having this letter, I'm going to have the character tell her.
Yeah, right.
And then that's going to be more interesting, having this dynamic between the two characters rather than in terms of like the memory. One of my characters has a traumatic thing happen to her. This is a bit of a trigger warning, but one of my characters is abused when she's a young teenager, and it happens in the summer, and she squashes that memory down on purpose. She doesn't want to think about it. So she kind of represses it. And then one day she's in the library and she's reminded of it. She's reading the Yellow Wallpaper, this short story that I love. And the details of the wallpaper in the story remind her of this embroidery on a bishop's robe during her assault.
Ew.
And she's not, yeah. Maybe I shouldn't say
No,
that.
keep going. I feel like that's a good visceral reaction. Continue.
She's reminded of that, and then she's in the corner of a library studying, and she decides to she's like, oh my gosh, I need to remember this. So she sits there and she like tries to remember that night. And the memory comes to her in a full narrative. It's like, oh, I got there with Milton. We walked through the door. Then we saw a youth group and we saw this person talk. And this is how we felt. And this is where we left. And then I said this and that and the other. And this is what led to this and that. And it just she tells herself her memory, like the story.
Sure.
But I think what this author, Rebecca Makkai, is saying is that memories don't really work like that. We don't really sit down and remember a whole day from start to finish. We remember, like, maybe I should write it more like, she has a flash of this, but why did that happen? And then there's a flash of this and a flash of that. And then the reader has to piece it together. But is that really fun? Is that really an enjoyable reading experience, even if it is more true to life? Or is it kind of like the telephone conversation where, no, we don't really remember things that way, but in order to make this like a good book and like entertaining and moving, like, should I tell it in a way that helps the reader be moved through the experience, or should I tell it in a way that's more true to life?
Well, if you want to get it out all in one sitting, which I don't think is bad. I don't like, you're not writing a book where you need people to piece those things together, right? Like that.
No.
That's not what you're after.
No.
So,
oh yeah, that's interesting what you're saying. It's like
right.
If she remembered a little bit here, but then was like couldn't remember the rest,
Right.
and then so you're keeping the reader in suspense to
Sure.
where more of the memories get uncovered. That's a cool way to do it.
But you also, I feel like you could remember a little bit and be like, I really need to figure that out, okay? And I'm gonna find another character, whether it's their therapist or a trusted
Someone who
friend,
was there,
yeah, and be like, I can't fully remember this. Like, talk me through it. Like, I would do that. I mean, I would sit with a friend who I knew might know about the situation, or my therapist for sure, and be like, don't know if this really happened. I feel like I need to talk it through.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if this really happened.
And then, I mean, it would be complicated. You'd have to maybe have a therapist tell you how to actually, use the correct terminology to pull out like a repressed memory. But like, then it's a good way you can do it conversationally, but get the whole memory out in one sitting.
Yeah.
Because maybe there's not a real life version of like just remembering something from start to finish, but I feel like you can in the right context.
Yeah. She is also very startled out of it because the boy who's supposed to walk her home, who's also part of the memory, is like, hey, and he's like standing there like he came to find her because he needs to walk her home, and that startles her out of the memory.
See, like, could she, I don't know this character and I don't know exactly what's happening, but if she's talking to somebody at a coffee shop and then you still want her to be startled out of it, but rather than startled out of a memory, just that it makes the conversation abruptly shift. Like, he could walk past on the street and be like, hey, you guys are at this shop?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a way to do it.
That's not so cliche.
It's not cliche.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think this is a really good point, and I'm going to change that scene so that she's just not startled out of it, because I don't want a reader to be taken out of the book because this is like a cringy thing that people kind of know about, like the letter or whatever.
Right.
Like, I want them to stay in. So, yeah.
So
So,
those are the 12.
mhm,
And then she goes into things that are helpful,
mhm.
that are taken from, or that screenwriters use. And these ones, I don't even,
Did you read this part?
I did read this part and I don't remember even.
Maybe we can just do the titles. So the first one is clear, clear, clear stakes to help hook people in. That's cool. Then the second one is every scene is there for a reason.
Of
I
course.
totally agree with that.
Right.
3, even then, amazing stuff gets cut.
Well, this
Ooh.
is, you have to be willing to get rid of your darlings.
Yep, and we all
Right?
know about
We
that
know
shit.
Death to the darlings. Sad, sad, sad.
And then 4 is structural expectation can be a form of momentum. I don't think I read this. I don't know what that means.
Well, this is where she uses the reality show thing where even if you don't want to be watching it, you feel obligated to finish it. Like you're hooked in just enough. You know that there's going to be weddings in 8 episodes, so I need to continue watching Love is Blind. Even if I hate all these characters, even if I think they're all idiots,
I have to get to the end 'cause
are
I
they going to
know.
get married? I feel like I'm hooked in. So that's what she's saying. The structural expectation creates its own momentum. Which I think is important and
that is
definitely
so cool.
right.
Yeah, I think that's probably. I mean, I haven't read this part. I'm sorry if for some reason I didn't read this, but I think that we hear a lot in genre fiction, like that in romance novels and in thrillers, that the audience is expecting you to hit certain beats,
The
and then if
formula
you
needs to
don't, they don't like that.
Right.
So I think that's really smart to have a setup. Mike White talks about that with White Lotus.
Yeah, right.
That the very first season, somebody dies at the very beginning, and you
Right.
don't know who it is
Right.
until the end of the season. And he talks about that. He's like, it was such a hack.
Right.
Like he's like, I just realized I just have to keep on doing that over and over. So every season of White Lotus will start with a death, and
Right.
then you have to go through the whole season to figure out
So she's
how
saying in
and
this
who.
article, and I totally agree. We both obviously totally agree, is that we can take that from film and use that. And she says that like Dickens uses it in A Christmas Carol because like that he'll be visited by 3 ghosts. That's said at the beginning. Like when the first ghost comes and it's like there's gonna be 3 more, and so now you're hooked
now I
in.
gotta-
You're like, I gotta
yeah.
see the 3 ghosts through, and like how's that gonna change him? Because clearly it's going to. And
Oh
so
my
like
gosh.
it's a great thing to do that people aren't necessarily doing all
To
the time.
set an expectation for what is going to be revealed, and then spend the whole book like edging. Mike White also talks about edging people.
Sure, yeah.
Like
Yeah,
Yeah, you know that term.
I
from-
do.
I've literally never edged anybody before.
Well, I think you have to edge yourself. I don't think you. Oh, maybe you don't.
I don't
You
have
can
to edge myself.
Well, I think. Oh, well, I guess it's all in the game. I don't know.
What is Rachel talking about? Are we talking about the same thing?
We are.
Well, Mike White, I'm like, I do not have to edge myself. I feel like that's more for men.
Yeah, I think it's for men.
Okay.
That's where I've always heard it.
Okay, so Mike White goes, people told him that the 3rd season of White Lotus was slow or something, and he was like, I'm fucking edging you. And if you don't want to be edged, get out of my bed.
Ooh.
And I'm like, oh,
Dang.
okay, Mike.
That is
I love
saucy
him.
from that little
I love
nerd.
him forever. He's so
He
amazing.
really is.
He's such a good writer. Anyway, so thank you so much to Rebecca Makkai, even though we didn't ask her permission to tell her whole thing. But this article on her Substack, Submack, SUBMAKK, isn't behind a paywall. So I feel like this is totally like chill that we did this.
Absolutely. And we'll link it into whatever we post.
I need to read her books now because I think that she is an exceptionally smart, thoughtful writer who is seeing the writing craft through like a different lens than most people. And she's not just regurgitating the same old shit. So I'm going to upgrade to paid.
Woohoo!
All right.
Okay. So wait, hold on. We got an update.
Okay, we got one last thing before we go.
Okay, so we have received a submission from a person we don't know.
Yes.
And so our next episode will be a story time in which we are going to read from this submission, which was really cool to have received.
What's it called again? It's called
Where the Lilies Bloom, I want to say.
Oh, yep.
And it's like a fanfic anime thing apparently, which I thought was like really out of my element. So I thought it was kind of cool to read.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to read.
Yeah. Okay. And then that takes me to potentially, I don't know where in the world this person is who sent it in. I can't wait to talk to you and about you. I emailed you back if you're hearing this. We are officially starting the writers group in the new year. Our first meeting is going to be at Burlington Public Library. And I'll post information about it on our Instagram, on our website. Email me or message us for more information. I'm going to do it January 13th from 6 to 8. And I think that this one we're going to orient ourselves into how it's going to work. I'll post more information as it gets closer. And this will be like workshopping and talking about our work, and I think it'll be great.
And this is in California.
Oh, yes.
And if you want to travel to come, you can do it.
You can do it. There's a lot of hotels in Burlingame. It's a hub.
Yep.
And I'm going to invite my neighbor across the street. Her name is Lena, and she's the runner-up of an Armenian book grant. Like, she was.
Did you know that she was a writer?
She had mentioned she's a writer, but we didn't talk very deeply. Clearly, I don't talk to people about it very much. So I didn't talk to her very deeply about it. I remember
Rachel has no interest in creative writing.
I do. I very much am going to invite her to the writers group. I also met a dad of one of my Girl Scouts from my Girl Scout troop. He is a writer, and he was very interested in talking about it. So we've got some people. We have some people who are interested. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
Great. I'm happy to make this come to fruition.
Okay, thanks for listening.
Happy New Year.